Hello everyone, it's a beautiful Wednesday morning on Your View and you're in for an amazing time. I am Olajumoke Alaode James and my co-hosts are here as usual. Good morning ladies.
Good morning.
Oga, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Long time no see.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here again.
What have you been doing?
So much, I've been doing so much. I started another radio show last weekend and I'm actually doing a program, Bloomberg Media Initiative.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I started on Monday, so it's been a lot.
Well done.
Yeah.
Temi Tope, Mama Ibeji one. How are you today?
I'm good. You know, every day I just marvel at the power of a woman, the power to multitask. So this morning, in between breastfeeding, as in simultaneously doing makeup, simultaneously checking on my husband that is rolling on the bed, tummy ache.
And what's wrong?
I don't know what he ate though.
Yeah.
Don't know what he ate though. Then my mother-in-law sat down. I mentioned offset that my mother-in-law sat down in a church under AC. You know, she's not used to AC being in church. I think everything just culminated into her body yesterday. She was like literally shivering. They shut down all the windows, covered the blanket. She's still shivering. I was like, yes, Mama, don't die inside my house. So I beg you, I'm not going to die now. You know, but she's feeling better this morning. We're all good. And I just keep feeling that the more you push yourself, the more you realize that you can do more than what you think you can. And that's a plus for me.
Yeah. Good morning, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
That's a shock.
Fantastic. Yesterday when I got offset back to work, I realized that someone had dropped half a bag of very beautiful shoes, you know.
Yeah.
And more people are asking, can we have a drop-off point at Kaduna? Some people outside Lagos, some people in Ilorin, some people, you know, very... So I'm just wondering.
Nigerians are willing to give.
Yeah,
Nigerians are wonderful.
I'm so grateful, and I hope maybe in the future we'll be able to collate, you know, and get everybody involved, because it's not just to these people now. There are more projects that I'm going to be doing to help people. We can't keep talking. We have to look for ways to help. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think that we need to be the solution that we want our government to be, because government is about us. We all are the government. So well done.
You're looking beautiful.
Thank you so very much.
I love your hair.
Thank you.
Thank you to Wumi.
Yes, who did my makeup and my hair.
Very beautiful.
Wumi has just styled me very nicely today. Okay, when we come back after this short break, we are going to be taking the front page review. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. We start with front page review, and as usual we'll start with the Punch this morning. Major headline, PDP convention. We don't know which judge to obey, says INEC. 2 high courts give fresh conflicting orders. Congress will hold, says Wike. Sheriff to petition NJC, that's the Nigerian Journalist Commission. My message not for everybody, says Pastor Adeboye. Boko Haram video. Federal government yet to contact Chibok parents. Again, Buhari orders NNPC to search for oil in the north. CBN increases dollar sale to $50,000 to bureaus de change. $12 million fraud. EFCC probes Elechi, ex-Ebonyi governor. In other news, there's a picture, Rio, Nigeria's Oduduru, second behind Bolt in 200 meters heat. Ex-militants invade Akwa Ibom government house. Robbers attack CBN bullion van, kill 2 cops. And finally, doctor arrested for removing patient's kidney.
I can't help but laugh on this. This was in both second runner.
Well, they have.
The guy is more focused on, come, let me go and snap. You know, like, from the pictures you can see that he's in awe.
In the top 4 fastest people in the world, Nigeria is now.
I think he did an amazing job.
Yeah, fantastic.
I thought was in both hair.
You know, so, but, you know, the picture just gave me the, like, This man is more focused on.
Let me
Let me take a picture.
You know, in recent time, we've seen people that took pictures with their idol in terms of their competition,
Yeah.
and they have met up and superseded that person.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
if this picture, if just post it and look at every day and say, I want to be like this guy,
It's a
he would
motivation,
do it.
yeah.
You
It's
know?
a source of
Sorry,
motivation.
the human angle story.
Yes, so doctor arrested for removing patient's kidney. This happened in Gombe Hospital. The patient, 24-year-old man, had been having stomach upsets, and the doctor, Yakubu,
Is it a licensed
Hassan
doctor?
Yakubu, is a licensed doctor actually, went in to operate because the stomach injury had been ongoing for long. And then after the operation, the 24-year-old patient couldn't urinate. And then his family members found out that, because when they now then took him to the Gombe Hospital, General Hospital, they now found that his kidney had been removed. So the matter was reported to the police, and Dr. Hassan Yakubu was arrested.
Can they mistakenly remove kidney? I thought, as in, like, I don't. It sounds like something from a movie. It's something that shouldn't even happen. That man's, apart from the fact that he should be prosecuted normally in the court, his license should be withdrawn, and maybe we should start.
They should shut down
I
that
heard
hospital
that
in the first place.
I heard that there is a process of renewing your license annually. Some doctors told me that. How well is that process being implemented? So that if you are not renewing if your license hasn't been renewed that year, can you be shut down?
I
Can your
have
hospital
a
be
medical
shut down?
doctor that's a friend that she lives in the US and shuttles Nigeria. She said, you know, she had to go back to go and work for a couple of hours, because if she doesn't do that, she'll be regarded as dormant. And once you're dormant, it will take a whole process.
My sister,
but you see, in this
my
country,
sister is a
I don't
medical
think
doctor actually,
Yeah.
and they have exams
They take.
perennially, you know, to just to show that you're upgrading yourself.
Yourself.
Because she works in a general hospital.
But I think they
regardless
should
of
finish
that,
shut
I was
down
gonna say
that
that
hospital.
because apart from the, let's look at the other side of it. The doctor thing is it's on one hand, then the what you call now the patient. I think people should be encouraged to patronize, I mean, genuine doctors.
How would you know
you
that
would
this
know,
one is not
because
a genuine
obviously this
doctor?
one could be a crack.
No.
For
How would
you
you
to
know?
just do such a thing,
would
and the family is not even aware that such a thing took place. Because before you could remove a major organ
Kidney.
like that from a person,
Was
the
this
family
close
should be
to
aware.
the surgery?
No.
Abba.
So he has to. The doctor has a case to answer. The patient is now on dialysis. We hope that he's alive.
If our general hospitals are working, all this drama will
Will
not,
not
see
happen.
it.
True, sure.
Exactly.
Moving on to our next paper, The Nation. Major headline: confusion over PDP Port Harcourt Convention. Courts stick to conflicting rulings. Police deploy men, officers to venue. And I love this picture. Miss Uzoma Kachuku and her adopted mother, Miss Rita Nena Ano. Abused girl gets new family. Very interesting story. 4 die in Abeokuta after drinking Ugogoro. IBB favors part-time National Assembly. CBN raises Bureau's de change weekly dollar sales to $50,000. That's majorly it.
Yeah.
This
Uzamaka.
Yes, please go ahead.
No, but that's quite, it's laudable. I like that. I mean, it's time for Nigerians, like we were saying earlier on, Nigerians are actually very patriotic. Apart from being patriotic, they are nice. They're nice people.
They're loving people.
Loving people. They actually usually extend the hand of help.
Okay,
So
to
what this
establish the
woman, what this woman did now, it's a good thing. We all know what happened to the young girl, 15-year-old girl that was assaulted, bitten, you know, and you know, abused, sort of, yeah. But now she's taking the child and adopted the child, so she's having a new family now. I mean, it's a good thing. I mean,
And then she's giving her full scholarship.
full scholarship,
to
secondary school,
level.
university level, and the rest. So it's a whole new package for the child.
God bless.
As time goes on, you see, she will forget about the
Also,
experience she had. You know.
She's been taken for medical examinations, and then she's going through clinical therapy, and so she's been taken for a shopping spree, you know, for her to forget her ordeal.
Yeah.
We're very encouraged, you know, like I said earlier, because we are the government, you know. This lady decided that we're not going to keep on
Wait for
pointing
the
fingers.
government.
We're going to, you know, do what we want the government to do.
So
Very
Ogogoro
applaudable.
is killing. And we've heard that some Ogogoro is our local drink, and it is actually fermented from the palm wine. So it is actually medicinal in some areas. They say it is good for the body. If you're breastfeeding and you're not lactating well, they say drink ogogoro to make you.
Is it ogogoro or palm wine?
Palm wine, ogogoro, they do. Now, there are some new type of ogogoro that is not locally produced. It is actually purely chemicals that are mixed with water to produce that ogogoro. So please, if you want to drink ogogoro, go and find the people from maybe Sapele or those areas that actually produce it themselves.
The challenge
as
with
opposed
this
to
one,
drinking
the challenge
chemicals.
with this one contains ethanol. And the guy, when he was arrested, he said that they've been drinking this ogogoro for some time. That's not the first time. He was actually drunk when the police got him. So he was surprised that we've been drinking together. So I think something is wrong somewhere.
Maybe they
Something
were
went wrong
poisoned.
somewhere.
But I think
yeah.
it's not just pegging it on ogogoro.
On ogogoro
Autopsy
itself
would solve the problem.
all of that.
Yeah.
We do
Yeah.
autopsy in this
Okay. Oh.
We have to.
There's no story we've not talked about here in Jumoke. This
Which
PDP
one?
thing.
No, I'm waiting.
Moving on to our next paper, Vanguard. Major headline: PDP chairmanship race turns 3-man contest. Abuja, Port Harcourt courts give contradictory verdicts. Bureau de Changes can now access $50,000 from banks weekly, says the CBN. Semi-final cracker will avoid past mistakes today, says Siasia. We're looking forward to that
Hopefully.
match. Interesting article. Trader arrested for naming pet dog. Buhari.
Please.
Buhari, Atiku, Okowa, others hail IBB at 75. Budget pardon. Reps seek court's interpretation. So IBB is
still-
75 today. Happy birthday
Happy birthday to him.
But this very interesting article, we're going to talk about the
Yeah.
PDP in a minute. But the interesting article about the trader in Ogun State, who he usually
Named
has
his
pet dogs. So he bought
Usually.
usually he has dogs and he names them after things that catch his fancy. So he bought this dog, and not only did he name the dog
wrote
Buhari,
it.
he wrote it on both sides.
Well, let me tell you what happened.
no.
he had a fracas with his neighbor.
Whose
And apparently,
father
whose father's name is Buhari.
Alhaji Buhari.
So you now go and buy a
Abba.
dog. Jumoke,
No.
please. Let us
No.
be
And was the police arresting him and taking him to court?
hold on. You know, there are certain things that you know, we can tolerate. I think what he did was
That's
over
just
the
way
board.
over the
It was over the board. We should be honest.
Wow.
You know, you can't now have a
you are
fracas with
writing the
Jumoke.
name.
I
You
have a
writing the
fracas
name
with you.
at
I
all.
now name. I buy a cat tomorrow. I write Alawode James there.
Cat is
How would
even-
you feel?
Cat is nice.
I
If you
will
name it like a
not-
cow.
a goat.
Or a goat. Then, even if you just call the goat Jumoke.
Fine.
problem.
You're writing
You know,
it.
Alawode James. And I think the police arresting him is for his own safety, because that kind of a thing can incite
Now, well, the-
violence that can
Yeah.
lead to his death.
Yeah.
The case against him is that breach of peace.
Yeah.
Attempted breach of peace. I'd like to see how this matter will be interpreted.
He doesn't have a lawyer. He doesn't have sons that will go and prolong the case.
Interpreted in the
The girl
court.
probably will be remanded and awaiting trial for a long time. But Jumoke, IBB being lauded is something I have issues with. I think that Nigeria we need to revisit our history very well and acknowledge when people have done wrong. When
Okay.
all of you stand
May we
and
take that story in the next paper, Tokwe? Forgive me, because it's on the front page of Daily Sun also.
Okay.
Major headline: total war over PDP convention. Go ahead with it, rules Port Harcourt judge. Don't do it, says Abuja judge. Ex-militants fight security agents at Akwa Ibom government house. Boko Haram, army rescues 88, kills 3 in Borno. Robbers killed 2 policemen in CBN bullion van attack. Nigeria more fractured now than ever before, says Obasanjo. Biafra, Babangida opens up my worst civil war experience. And Babangida and Obasanjo are pretty much talking about the Biafran war. But go ahead, Tokwe.
Okay, so I think that when we easily forget that some people have wronged us as a country, I know that when we remember our anniversaries, it's for good, but you mustn't negate the fact that some people were young and did not know what happened in 1993. We'll just see our former president, Ibrahim IBB,
Babangida.
and just say that, oh, this was a fantastic man. Yes, he had some good points, but he also did us the service by cancelling that election. And we must always use that anniversary of his birthday to remember the wrong that he has done to us as a nation.
In the article, he said that many things that he did because he had people around him who counseled him. And that as much as people think that he was an evil genius, he's not as bad as they say. That he has lived with the appellations all his life, you know, but we don't know the entire story.
Yeah, I was going to talk to, I was going to mention that when Tope said that. I think it's time we just let some things go.
Thank
you
you.
know,
We have to learn from the past.
I know. See, I beg to differ. It's good. He did us a lot of, so much wrong, and we think of June 12th, a lot of memories just keep flooding and all of that. But we need to let it go and move on. Just move on.
We have moved on.
And
We
now,
must not forget.
In the spirit of moving on.
Can I
Yeah.
quickly say that robbers attacking bullion vans, we hear this over and over again, that they use military what's it called? Uniforms and attire. A funny video went viral of a military man being questioned, wearing a military uniform. So the truth is that the police have to up their game. A lot of people are using military uniforms to keep attacking people. So we can't overlook that. It's happening and they need to curb it.
Okay, we have to move on.
for
We can't
PDP.
take this day.
This
So we
PDP.
should just discuss the PDP convention.
The PDP
quickly.
convention. It's dragging on for too long. Okay. No, talking about Sheriff and the other guy. That was what happened during Eunice NFF thing. It was there for a long time, back and forth, back and forth. Can't they just let this go? I
No,
saw
but
one of
there's
the
a ruling.
articles.
There's a ruling
Yeah,
now.
I know.
The police-
Two rulings.
No,
two
but the
rulings.
police has countered everything. They've gone to seal up the road to the government house. They've sealed up the convention
They're already
ground.
preparing.
No, they've sealed up the
Preparations have been on
convention
since yesterday.
ground.
Hold on.
They've sealed up the road to the government house. They say that, okay, since the courts do not want to go
Take a
against
stand,
them,
take a
let us,
stand.
we take a stand to
Okay,
protect
talk about
lives.
as
INEC
that
has said that,
serves
that they are confused as regards which of the which ruling they should uphold. I think the Ministry of Justice, the AGF needs to step in on this. They
I
cannot say
agree.
they did not know what is going on.
Yeah.
It's been too long.
I agree. That's all we can take on front page review this morning. When we come back, we'll be discussing South Africa replacing Nigeria as the largest economy in Africa on Hot Topics, and later, the implications of borrowing to invest in Nigeria on Let's Talk. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Following the inflation in the Nigerian economy, South Africa is said to have taken over from Nigeria as the largest economy in Africa. This was attributed to the appreciation of the rand, South Africa's currency, and the devaluation of the Nigerian naira following the introduction of flexible foreign exchange regime. What are your thoughts on this? It's your view. Please let it count by joining the conversation on 070-8066-8014 or tweeting to us at TVC Connect using the hashtag YourViewTVC. So, Ogaga, I'm going to let you go first. What are your views on South Africa overtaking Nigeria as the biggest economy in Africa?
First and foremost, I wouldn't say, I would say because they overtook us doesn't mean that they are sort of immune because they're still sort of like a par talking about recession. But with the way things are now, you could actually see that South Africa has an upper hand talking about economic policies. I want to look at that first. In South Africa, their policies they are very focused when it has to do with being strict with what they need to do and all of that, talking about policy continuity and policy consistency. And that is what we do not have here. Over there, they are what's it called now? Their political class. They decide that if they want to do something, they go after it. You know, they check out what they need to do and they follow hard after it. Setting objectives, the right objectives. But here in Nigeria, we do not have that. What we have, our political class, what they want to do is, like presently, the present administration, they want to follow up on their own policies and shove others aside, especially the ones they've met. They'll just shove it aside.
True.
We're talking about the last administration. What's it called now? What's it called?
Shopee.
No, not the Shopee. What's it called? This Jonathan stuff that was heard recently.
Which one?
We've been talking about it since.
The economy?
No, national stuff. This okay.
Okay, the meeting, everybody coming together.
Yeah.
Confab.
Confab. Forgive me, the national confab. People are still talking about it. Yesterday I was listening to the radio and some of the participants mentioned that this present government should actually look into it. They shouldn't just shove it aside. But it's even alleged now that it's been tossed out of the window. So we should look at such things.
But
it's very important.
May I correct that South Africa and Nigeria are not a par in recession?
When I mean a par, they are not immune.
Our recession is 0.4.
Yeah.
Their recession is 0.2. So we are going faster.
According to Bloomberg, they are not immune. That they are ahead of us, they are not immune.
They are having recession, but we're not a par.
Yeah,
We are going faster. Go on, Tokwe.
I watched the documentary on South Africa, and viewing that documentary, I could understand why their economy would be better than ours right now. Our economy is import dependent, dollar saturated, as like we're hungry for dollars in a way that if there's a dollar, there's crisis, which is what we're experiencing. South Africa, like an average Toyota that we import from Africa, like the Toyota that is manufactured that we say, oh, for Nigeria, brand new, is from South Africa. If it wasn't for the policy by the previous administration, Nissan wouldn't be putting together cars in Nigeria. So you have the jobs are there, they have power, so they can have industries. They have treaties with China that is that have manufacturing plants that are employing people. Their industry for fashion is churning out ready-made clothes that we import in Nigeria, made in South Africa. Our average conflicts when you go to the major mall is from South Africa. Their green peas is from South Africa. So what are we saying? A giant of Africa is a country that is influencing the order in terms of policy, in terms of consumption. If they stop production of their conflicts, we would suffer. They stop production of most of the things, we will be the ones to suffer. So it is obvious that we need to work on our own policies and how we are growing our economy, not just being fixated on oil.
Okay. Uwa, what are the obvious solutions?
Obvious solutions, Ken.
Yes.
Let me lament first. Honestly speaking, when I think South Africa, I think our entire economy right now. The cable we watch that we pay so much for, where is it coming from? South Africa.
Telkom.
We have Nigerian
Hold on. There's concert, but concert has not gotten
Wide
to that
coverage.
level of coverage that South African company has.
Okay.
Now, the shopping malls. Most of the shopping malls that are being erected, gigantic shopping malls, they are all the way from South Africa. Now, when the shopping mall was going to come to Nigeria, the people came and said, okay, this is how much, this is the standard pay that they are going to pay the workers. The same Nigerian manager said, no, you want to spoil them, don't pay them that kind of money. In Nigeria, we do not respect and we do not honor our fellow citizens. We do not think that they deserve to grow. That is why we continue to be subject to those kind of economy. We are the largest, biggest consumers. We do not produce anything. So everything that South Africa is bringing, when they are thinking of growth and vision for their country, they would come and erect it here and take the money back to their country.
Okay.
So for me, I think solution, first of all, is for us to wait and just close our eyes to all these foreign things that she's talking about. If we are ready to grow, we must be ready to say no more imported things, and we want to stay and produce locally. And because there are cereal company, NASCO, complex company in Nigeria, but nobody's patronizing them because we want to. Our taste bud is already geared towards the imported ones.
I think we all grew up eating, Nigerian-made breakfast cereal. So it's not for lack of them being there. One is quality. If I can afford better quality, I don't mind importing. Secondly is that the Nigerian companies that we had, a lot of them ran out of the country because power is a major issue.
Course we know.
So if me producing my biscuits in Nigeria, by the time I'm done, to make a profit, I have to sell it at 10 naira. But if I go to Ghana, or I go to South Africa, by the time I'm done and I still import it into Nigeria, I can sell it for 5 naira or 7 naira. That's why everyone is considering importation. It's not because you don't know that you can plant your manufacturing company in Nigeria. It's the ease of doing business abroad.
I understand that part of ease of doing business, but I also want to harp on what you said about the quality. You understand? When we are talking about quality, quality would not improve until we are ready to delay. Tope was eating potato chips yesterday, sweet potato chips, and she was just complaining. I said, it is locally made. Can you just enjoy the potato chips? Like it is our Nigerian potato chips. And grow the company. No, it's true now.
We have our first caller on the show
Wasn't
today.
nicely cut.
Alan has called in from Surulere. Good morning. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, my sister.
How are you today, sir?
Fine, I really appreciate you people. You are doing a very good job.
Thank you. Please go ahead with your
I
contribution.
just want to say to start with, Nigerians, we should stop deceiving ourselves. Have we ever been the biggest economy before?
No.
All these things are stories and this. We are forgetting that even NTN that we are using is from South Africa. What are we producing? Not even toothpaste. We import toothpaste. Government has just been deceiving people, telling us we are the biggest. We've not been the biggest economy. So if we should start now. If we really have people, and I don't think we have any of even our character is not showing that we are able. So being the biggest economy in Africa, because we sell oil, now the oil has unmasked our secret. You know, all these biggest economy because you sell oil and you share the money. Did that make you big economy? If you are big, the biggest economy should be the father. What are you teaching the people at your back to sell and share money to state? So I don't think we have any bill. All these things are stories.
Thank you very much, Alex, for calling. May I correct Alex? We're biggest economy because oil is just 13% of our GDP. We have many other industries like fashion. You'll be surprised how much our fashion attires cost. We have the entertainment industry.
Are we the one producing the fabric that we used to do the fashion? The fabric that we come and we make.
We import most of our raw material.
Yes.
But we have a large economy. That's why we were the largest in Africa.
We have large population, Noni.
It's
not economy.
It's part of it. Your human resource is also part of your advantage. Another phone call. Idris has called in from Ikeja.
We lost it jumping.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Ogaga.
Okay, I was going to say something. You know, when Uwa mentioned what's it called now, what we need to do to, like, a way forward. You know, there are some odds that we need to deal with in Nigeria. You see, South Africa does not have the challenge of insurgency. They don't have a what you call Boko Haram bombing their, what you call their infrastructures and all of that. Hold on. I know they have their own, I know they have their own, but these are the things that are weighing us down as a country, because investors do not want, because they're concerned about their security.
True.
So, I mean, there are some things that are really affecting us.
Maybe take tweets.
Solution. Okay.
So let's take tweets. Go ahead quickly.
I want to say that the economy, the crisis that South Africa is facing is just as equal as what we're facing. Let's not excuse it. What we should focus on is what are we producing? We're not doing anything like that.
Talking about producing, you know, it's very difficult to produce raw materials here. We talked about light, electricity, and the rest. We're trying to do our own thing.
I think the government should be ready to face the big transport your goods and all that. When the rail system is working, when transportation system is working. Sorry, let me look for a hot top. Tosin Duro Dollar says, South Africa creates avenue for economic growth. Now, some Nigerians hardly see traveling to RSA as going to an African country. They see it as going abroad. Kuti Malik says, the NASCO still don't want to venture into rice flakes. Conflicts with raisins and dry fruits, etc. Okay, that's diversity. Innovation. The same Kuti says, these cereal companies in Nigeria aren't investing more in improving products. Why can't they make more varieties? Then
take one. Let's go quickly.
Apple Tulip Creation says, setting up a business in this country can be really frustrating. Government don't give room for growing business, too much taxation. Adesope Samuel says, because they know the purpose of electing. It's about the previous one.
Next on Let's Talk, we'll discuss the implication of borrowing to invest in Nigeria. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Government debt and its importance to revenue generation have generated a lot of debate over the years in Nigeria, particularly with respect to economic growth. In the wake of hardship and economic problems in Nigeria, Finance Minister Kemi Adeosun has revealed that the country has no choice but to borrow if it would want to relieve the burden coming soon. What are the implications of borrowing to invest in the Nigerian economy? Joining us on the show via phone is an economist and stockbroker, Mr. Johnson Chukwu. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very well, Mr. Johnson. Okay. Some economic analysts have said that the Nigerian economy as it stands today is because our naira was held at an artificial value for a very long time, and that when it was finally let go of, that it was done dishonestly. Do you agree with this? And if you do, what does this mean exactly?
Well, I think it's uncharitable anybody to say that the current situation we have can only be attributed to the fact that it took us a longer time to adjust the exchange rate and that it was done dishonestly. I think the aspect of using the word dishonestly is very unfair one for the economic manager.
Okay.
I believe they have the best of intentions. Yes, they may have made some mistakes here and there, but to use dishonesty would be very unfair to them. I think where we are today is a conglomeration of a couple of factors. One, the structure of our economy. Two, the fact that we only have a single export product. And three, that the actions we have taken in recent past have not really, we are not sufficient to arrest the economic decline we are facing. So you have partly historical factors which they can be attributed to several governments in the advent of independence, and then what the government has done. But I think in terms of passing on blames, I don't think what happened we should focus on. What we should be focused on as a country is that what are the measures we need to put in place today to stabilize the economic condition and then to restore growth.
Okay, so do you think that it's a good thing to borrow to invest in the Nigerian economy, as the finance minister Kemi Adeosun has said?
Well, at the time, there's actually nothing wrong with borrowing. Yes, Nigerians have a passion for borrowing. Previous governments in the past borrowed exclusively for consumption and never left any legacy assets to reflect the cost of the borrowing that we have to bear. The minister was right when he said we just have to borrow. I had actually said it in the program that we need to borrow, and my approach was that we need at least a $10 billion line to stabilize the exchange rate. We need to stabilize the exchange rate to stop the decline in the economy.
Okay.
You need to stabilize the exchange rate before you can expect foreign investors to begin to come back to this country. And we do not have the financial resource today to stabilize the exchange rate. Beyond that, we need to catalyze economic growth, and that will require building infrastructure quickly. If we have to depend on the creation of our monthly and daily revenue from oil sales, it will take us 20 years to build infrastructure.
Okay.
So we could learn from what the countries like Dubai, cities like Dubai did to catalyze economic growth in their country.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Johnson, I know as a business person that it's important to borrow for growth of the business and invest, in that business for continuity. But when we do borrow this money, what would be the, how would we benchmark progress, and how will we know that we are able to, how do we target that if we say in XY number of years, we'll be able to finish it off and now begin to live? How would we measure that when we borrow?
Well, basically, I think we should borrow for targeted projects.
Okay.
We shouldn't just borrow
To pay salaries.
To pay overhead expense of the government. The problems we had, as I mentioned in the past, was we borrowed basically for consumption. If we had borrowed for critical infrastructure, then the borrowing is targeted at specific projects. Take, for instance, Lagos State government that says bonds for the blue rail line they are building.
Yeah.
They have to assess bonds for the expansion of the Badagry Express Road.
Yeah.
So you could actually see this borrowing went to this specific project. So if the federal government is going to borrow internationally, we should borrow for specific projects. And that was, I was excited when I heard the minister say that we are trying to arrange a $20 billion line from China for specific projects. If we're borrowing for the highway that runs from Lagos to Ibadan, we could say, okay, this $3 billion or $1 billion is going to go into this highway. And we hold the government accountable if that project is not done. If we're borrowing to expand the international airport, we know it's going to that. If we're borrowing for the rail line, the 120 kilometer standard gauge from Lagos to Kano, and we say we're borrowing $9 billion for that, we hold government responsible for that. But we must not borrow for consumption purpose. We must borrow for strategic projects that will catalyze economic development.
So we must know exactly what this project will be channeled to, this money.
Absolutely
Okay,
correct.
sir.
So, Mr. Johnson,
Yeah.
you took me to China, and we know now that China specified that they would appoint a manager to take charge of the loan they are giving to us, to be sure that it is used strictly for projects.
Yeah.
Do you believe that doing this is right? One. Number two, how do we guide against the fact that all the projects have to be carried out by Chinese company, which will then put the money back in their
Into the
pockets?
Chinese economy.
How do we guide against that?
Well, you are not going to get that because you do not have
The money.
on your own.
Yeah.
In the first place, nobody will give you money without conditionalities. If you
There
go
are
to
terms
Ireland,
and
they give you conditions on you must do. If you go to the US, they give you the conditions. The countries that give you money are not giving you money, and they are not charitable organizations. You must explain that. They also want to create employment in their local economy. They also want to make sure that the Chinese economy can keep growing. China has a population of more than 1.2 billion.
Yeah.
They want to create full employment for their citizens. So they're not going to dash you money. They are not Father Christmas or Mother Teresa. They are looking at how to deploy the economic resources they have to continue to grow their own economy, while achieving stability and growth in their counterparty economies or economies that they relate with that has some effect of multiplying effect in their local economy. They're not going to money to anybody if they're not going to derive some direct benefit from that.
Okay.
But how do we, even if they give you 20 billion and they employ Chinese engineers, Chinese workers, and they pay the standard gauge there for you, you're going to use that standard gauge to evacuate tomato, evacuate cannot, evacuate product from Kano to Lagos. You're going to use that infrastructure they're going to build for you to grow your economy. You and I will enter that train and go to Kano, okay, at a very fast rate. So it doesn't matter whether they're going to use their employees, but they're not going to use 100% Chinese labor. They will still employ Nigerians.
Yeah.
They will still buy cement from Jatan,
Nigerian
from
security
Lafarge,
men.
from Bua. They're going to use resources. So we certainly have opportunities, but important.
Okay.
Okay.
A follow-up question, Topper, quickly.
Well, so how do we prevent inflation? Now, we know that a lot of our contracts are that they are inflated. The real price and what they put in the papers are far apart to aid corruption. How do we cut this off? Since we're taking a loan, we don't want to now feed corruption with half of the loan. One. Number two, how do we ensure that they pay our staff well? Nigerian workers that are employed by foreigners in Nigeria earn less than the foreigners doing the same job. So how do we prevent that from happening within the same treaty that we're signing with China? And how do we ensure that they don't do inflation as usual?
Two questions.
When you talk about inflation, there are standards that the of certain things. For instance, I mentioned the issue of the standard gauge rate that runs from Lagos to Kano. In some passengers, you get that contract for $8.6 billion. Even if you factor in dollar inflation, maybe the something comes about $9 billion or $9.5 billion. So if you're giving out that, and you have your certificate, you have your valuation, and you can actually get foreign Western countries to do the valuation and do the assessment, and make sure that you have the best of market prices in determining and however the price they will give you. But as it relates to labor abuse by some foreign companies, I think that's when the Nigerian Labour Congress has come in, and the government, the Minister of Labour, where they are abuses of.
Okay, Mr. Chukwu.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a question for you. There's this thing that keeps bothering Nigerians. They wonder why, when we're talking about investment, you always talk about just two countries, China, Chinese, and India. I don't know, I mean, can't we do this? Can't we carry out other investments, a partnership with other countries?
Like US
or
and
are
UK?
they scared of coming here? That's number one. Then secondly, you see what you mentioned sometime, I read an article of yours where you said, if the government can focus on restoring the economic growth in the country, then maybe probably the currency can actually start maybe changing, stabilizing appropriately. How feasible is that?
Well, okay, let's take the first one. today, globally, the two countries that are most aggressive in coming to Africa, seeking for resources in Africa, expanding their influence in Africa, are China and India.
India, yes.
In the past, it was the Western countries. I mean, there was a time when they had to come, rush to Africa to come and balkanize Africa into different countries when they shared Africa. There was a time when we had in the 70s and early 80s, when we had the Cold War, the competition for African friendship and African resources was between China, between USA and Russia.
Yeah.
Those areas are passed. Today, the competition for African friendship, African resources, African trade is mostly from China and India. So it requires you to do a lot, but that does not take away the fact that in terms of foreign portfolio investment, the largest amount is still coming from England, and that US is a major investor, US, France are major investor in this economy. But if you're looking at who has the money, they has the money. If you're looking at who is hungry for resources, China is hungry for resources. So you go to the person who needs you most at this point. But on the issue of stabilizing the exchange rate, basically, your exchange rate is a function of what you export and what you import.
True.
If you do not stabilize the economy, you are not going to begin to export anything. So the first thing is that we need to restore growth. If you restore growth, we'll eventually begin to export more than one product or minimize what we import, not by fire, not by declaration of we should import this. If, for instance, we can grow rice production to the level that we no longer need to import rice, that is stabilizing the economy. Then the amount we are spending on importation of rice will grow. Just like we are succeeded in stopping the importation of cement because we cannot produce enough to export cement. We can replicate that in several products. Sugar, a couple of things that Nigeria has competitive advantage to export or to at least be self-sufficient. Then palm oil and all the rest. If we achieve that, then you're going to see gradually your currency will strengthen.
Okay.
You're not going to strengthen your currency by just declaring that the naira will be changed for 100 naira, 200 naira,
Okay.
$2.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chukwu. We're going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll take questions from Twitter and other phone calls. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Mr. Johnson Chukwu?
Yes, I'm here with you.
Okay, we're going to take a few comments and questions from Twitter.
Okay.
Agunwaye Ebi Michael says, the major issue is that these borrowings are not used for developmental projects. Only God will save us. Jamia Sadara says, because of the recession in our home-based economic development should be our priority for now. T. Joseph says, we need to grow our own country. Borrowing, we can't even see the money being borrowed. We need to start by doing stuff, power, road, water. Olivia Uzuaga says, borrowing to invest in critical sector, that will boost the economy, will be much better.
You want to respond to that?
Adekunle Oseni says he has a concern that borrowing would not have good effect on the economy. Instead, the economy will still crumble. This is not the first time Nigeria is borrowing. Do you agree with him, sir?
Well, I think like some of the commentators have mentioned, the challenge we have had in the past was because we borrowed for consumption. Okay. If you borrow for infrastructure development, you will certainly help stabilize the economy. There's nothing wrong with borrowing in the need, just what is the borrowing for, and that you are borrowed within your limits of your capacity to pay back. So Nigeria should be worried. If we have a government, we really have a government that is prudent, is stringent with its mind, frivolous with debt. We still worry about borrowing. But again, as a country, we can also legislate that all borrowing by government, the sectors of the not the sub and government, the federal government, the state government, and the federal government should be tied solely to infrastructure.
Okay.
Another question that's been raised, from Chukudi says, with the hostile political/economic environment, coupled with the naira volatility, how will the economy grow?
Well, the political environment, I believe, the state decided to do something about it. I mean, the government said they are in talks with the Niger Delta Avengers. And I saw a comment by one of the ministers that said that they are actually in touch with the Boko Haram. But in the case of Boko Haram, they've been largely defeated. I mean, they no longer pose a severe threat to the economy.
Okay.
But in Niger Delta, the Avengers and other Niger Delta militants pose a threat to the economy. And I think the government has adopted multiple approaches, and also both stick and approach. I think which is what they need. But be that as it may, a country does not raise its up and give up in a surrender to forces. Countries have gone through issues like this. We see there was a time when a country like Italy was a deal of the mafia, and the Italian economy suffered greatly. But over time, they overcame it.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, you remember when the IMF president Lagarde came to Nigeria? She advised, amongst other things, for Nigeria to borrow for infrastructure. She advised for us to increase our VAT from 5% to 7.5%. At the time, Nigeria refused. We said, no, we're not going to borrow, we're going to stay, we're going to do Nigerian. But now we're hearing economists say we need to borrow. How do we juxtapose this?
You know, the truth of the matter is that Nigerians, you know, there's a thing in African parliament that once bitten, twice shy. Because Nigeria accumulated so much debt, which Obasanjo said.
Yeah.
So Nigerians are very apprehensive when you mention the issue of international borrowing. But the reality of the matter is that the situation we found ourselves, we need external resources to restore confidence in the Nigerian economy. We do not have those resources. So there's no way you can go about that. I actually presented the paper in February, and I said clearly that we need to borrow. And the journalist said, when they took question, said, look, if you can take out this aspect of it, because we don't want to borrow. But I said, look, you need to borrow. And let me tell you what happens in real life. If your financial condition is weak, nobody will lend to you. Nobody will give you money to keep for them. If somebody comes and says, look, Jumoke, I guarantee that Jumoke will not default. If you default, I'll give you the money. People will begin to entrust resources into you again. Today, we don't have enough resources as to stabilize the economy to attract investors. Nobody comes to an economy that's in the state of depression. Nobody will invest in an economy that's not growing. You understand?
Yeah.
So if we're looking for investors to come in today, when your economy is moving from recession to depression, they won't come. But if they see that there's a 10 billion or 20 billion line, that what I say, look, Nigeria
we're building
we're not going to consume 20 billion in the next 3 years. They will resume their activity, and that will help you stabilize, contribute to stability in the economy.
Okay.
So, Mr. Johnson, I have a question. A few months earlier, we heard that the government is doing a partnership with China that we would get yuan, that there will be a partnership where Nigerian importers, because Nigeria is dependent on dollar based on our reach to get to China. So if we have direct access to the Chinese yuan, we wouldn't be so dependent on naira, on dollars. So what have you heard about that move? And do you think it was a good move that we should work on as opposed to just taking a dollar loan? Also,
I would have wanted you to tell us how well an individual can adjust to the present economic situation based on the high cost of living. But Mr. Johnson Chukwu, we've run out of time. We may have to call you back another time. We appreciate you being on the show this morning. Thank you so very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you, ladies, for also being a part of the show.
Thank you,
our guests, for watching. Thank you, and see you tomorrow morning. Have a great day ahead. Bye.